What's up, everybody? Michael Richards here, Elite Athletic Performance. Wanted to give a little bit of love to the youth baseball coaches in our next video, so stick around. It's going to be a good one.
Hey, what's up, guys? Just wanted to tell you about a new way to support our channel and to get great products out there. We've got an affiliate link going with Mark Pro now. You guys know that we use these a lot in gym. Big believer in them. The way that they decrease soreness and help with muscle soreness, things like that. These are actually like, you know, what we used to think about with the flush runs and stuff like that. These are actually doing something similar to that. They're a really good product. If you use our affiliate link or our code, actually, whenever at checkout, you can use EAP LLC, and you will get 10% off of your purchase. So I appreciate you guys using that. We'll get back to the video.
Who am I? I'm Michael Richards. I'm the owner of Elite Athletic Performance here in Benton, Arkansas. If you care about my background, you can check out our website, what we've got going on over here, my background, all that stuff. As always, please like and subscribe. I've been figuring out the hard way lately that YouTube is owned by Google, Facebook, and Instagram and Twitter are owned by Facebook, I guess, and they don't play nice together. So when you share a YouTube link on one of those social media platforms, the place that everybody in the world shares information now, you get buried in the algorithm, and the people that are interested in seeing these videos will never know they even exist. And so, like on our normal Facebook posts, we'll get interaction from, or engagement from like 1,000 people, 700, 800 to 1,000 people. If we share a YouTube link in that Facebook page, it will be less than 100. So Facebook is purposely keeping people from seeing YouTube links, which is petty and annoying, but it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it. So in a way to combat that, I'm asking you to share this through text with friends. If there's somebody you feel like would enjoy this or find it informative, send it to them, see what they think. Let's see if they're interested in watching it. If not, that's cool, but I appreciate it. That is one way that we can combat that. Trying to grow this channel, it's really hard. Like I said, when you're trying to share the information out on a public forum that is literally shutting down the information you're trying to share, it's difficult. So I would appreciate you sharing it. That would be very helpful. And obviously, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. It's huge. Every single like, every single subscriber is absolutely precious when you're trying to grow a YouTube channel. So I really appreciate all of that. So first things first, let's get on the same page. Make sure that you understand this is not a slam piece. There's going to be some things in here that some people aren't doing, or that it's different from what they're doing. I'm not telling you that you're not smart or that you're not a good coach. In fact, I feel like youth coaches, I honestly have about as much respect for them as anybody. You're doing it for free. It's hard. These parents it's their babies, and there's just a lot of hard stuff going on. And so it's not anything that I have ever had any interest in doing. And it sounds terrible. So I really appreciate you guys and girls for doing that. Just, and so I am trying to help create, if there's something in here that you feel like you can implement, maybe it will help you to create a better environment to help those kids do well and thrive in this game. So understand, nobody is calling you out or calling anybody dumb or not smart or whatever in this. It's just, these are the things that I would do. And obviously, I don't have a real job. Y'all do. So it's my job to know this stuff. And so, like I said, don't take offense to it. Don't get defensive if there's something you're not doing, or it's not anybody calling anybody out. I'm not a confrontational person. It's just not how it is. So, all right, first thing right off the bat, first thing I would do, I would have a rotation of games to use for warming up and for practices and games. We would never stretch. Stretching is for people who sit for a living, and that's pretty much it. And even then, I probably wouldn't do it. So there is a rubber band bit that I did in an earlier video that I've shot my rubber bands now, but basically stretching a younger kid is taking the rubber band and taking its potential for power and speed and kind of robbing them of it. So stretching, leave that out. I heard Ron Wolfworth talking about a game that he played with his youth teams, and I really liked the idea. He would take them out into the outfield, he would take their cleats off, and he would partner them up, and he called it like the foot stomp game or something like that. And he would take them and he would partner them up, and he would say, all right, so your job is to step on your partner's foot, and your partner's job is to make sure you don't step on his foot. And he would let them go for 5 minutes, and then they would switch, and it would be the person that they would switch roles of them, and they'd go for another 5 minutes. And he was like, it was awesome because, you know, especially for like those 8 o'clock games, he's like, our kids are coming in the dugout, they're sweaty, they're out of breath, you know, the other team's sitting over there and they're not even awake yet. He's like, even if we weren't that good, we would have 11 runs on the board in the second inning or in third inning when those kids are finally waking up, you know. So like, it was a big advantage for them. I would incorporate football. I would have, you know, one of the coaches or me be the all-time quarterback. I'd have them running routes, stuff like that. I would make you want them to have fun. The kids hate stretching. They don't do it right, and honestly, it's actually better that way because, like I said, it robs their potential for power and explosiveness, and it weakens their tendons a little bit and actually sets them up a little bit higher probability for injury. So leave the stretching out. Find ways to get them sweaty and having fun, and because that creates a high energy situation for them. They'll go into that game having fun, loose, and you will be very successful with that.
I'm going to tell you all about another quick way to support our page, our channel, and keep this free content coming out. You can go over to our Patreon page and sign up to do a $5 a month membership, or a $10 or $25, and actually I think there's a $50. Never mind. So we're working on ways to thank you for these, but we have people that just want to support, and it is greatly appreciated. That would keep this content coming out and move it out a lot faster so we could hire some of the production costs to be done. These videos take about 20 hours of dedicated work to get done, so any help you can get that would speed that process up, we would really appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys watching. We'll get back to it.
50% of the bullpens, our practice bullpens, would be to a non-catcher target with at least 2 sub-targets, no bigger than a softball, and the only communication would be the pitcher telling me which target he is planning to throw to. Going into the bullpen, I would instruct that pitcher to locate hard, and that's the last thing I would say to him, other than maybe good job or something like that. I want them to be envisioning, so like in the target that I use right here, you can see it's all beat up. We have multiple targets there. I would have them on the mound, and I've done this with some of our guys before. Whether or not they struggle with location is completely irrelevant. All right, so I would say, all right, I'm sitting there, and only thing I ever really say is sometimes I have to remind them, and I'll be like, okay, where are you throwing? If it's an older guy, I'm asking them which pitch they're throwing, but they'll say top right red, fastball, you know, or whatever. If it's a youth, if it's a kid under like 12 or 11, 10, something like that, they don't tell you the pitch. I wouldn't have them throwing anything but fastballs. So I would just say, which one are you hitting? And the thing about it is, it's kind of like a free throw in basketball. They get immediate feedback that nobody has to give to them. They got it immediately. That is very key for helping your pitchers get better and to be able to locate and throw hard at the same time. The very last thing that you want your pitchers to do, this will wreck so many pitchers, is to tell them to throw less hard and to just throw strikes. Do not do that, all right? Because you completely wreck their timing, the way that their mechanics will sync up. If a pitcher is taking some off of it to try not to throw as hard, it throws the entire timing of his pitching delivery off. And I know you're not meaning to do it that way, but it will really mess with their development. So I would advise not to do that. So that's how we would run our pitching practices. Obviously the catchers need to get work, so there would be times where they get to throw the catchers. You got to remember, even a catcher that's young and not really good at catching yet makes a pitcher feel better about himself because it's a target that's moving to the ball. I want this target that doesn't care about his feelings, okay? That's what I want. And I want him to have an idea. You can't just blindly throw at this. That's not productive. He's got to tell me exactly where he's throwing, And then no matter where he lands the ball, that is completely irrelevant to me. He just got the feedback that he needs in order to make an adjustment moving forward. That's what I want. I want them to be self-proficient. I don't want them to need me, okay? That's what I'm shooting for. All right, number 3, I love this one. I absolutely love this one. I think this is something that every pitcher should do. We would long toss with changeup grips. And I don't know that we would even throw a changeup, depending on the age. I don't know that we would throw a changeup in a game. I truly believe that teaching a kid or telling him to throw a changeup at an early age will actually impact his development pretty bad, because what he's going to do is just slow down his fastball, and that's the very last thing you want. Like I just said, you do not want them to change their mechanics. First off, because it's going to impact their development as a pitcher as they get older. They're going to get lit up, because good hitters will pick up on that when their mechanics change and slow down. They know exactly what's coming. So I would do that. The doing this is a changeup, when it's thrown right, you want it thrown just like a fastball. And you want the arm speed of a fastball, you want the body mechanics of a fastball, you want the grip to do the work to make the ball move slower, okay? It's an awkward grip for a reason. You want that to work in your favor so that the pitcher throws as hard as they possibly can, but the ball comes out and moves at a slower pace to trick the hitter, basically. That's the point of the changeup. So you want them to throw it hard, and you want them to learn how to use that grip, what it feels like, and get comfortable with that awkward grip. You know, I mean, your circle changeups, however they, you know, if you got a kid with those ET fingers, you can kind of experiment with that. But you know, we would find changeup grips for every kid that had any potential for maybe pitching, which is going to be pretty much every kid on a youth team. And we would long toss with changeup grips, maybe exclusively, probably not exclusively, but pretty close. So we would definitely do it every time we long tossed. And that actually leads to a question of how many times a week do you long toss. Honestly, I would have every kid that would listen to me, I would tell them to throw minimum 6 days a week as hard as their arm wants to throw. So some days they may go out and really feels good. That's the days they stretch their long toss out. It's an even better situation when they're on a football field or something where they can see how far they're throwing, and then the next day, if they threw from the goal line to the 40-yard line, the next day they can try to throw to the 43-yard line. That's kind of how you long toss. But on the days after they long toss and stretch it really far out, you know, those are the days that you want them to kind of listen to their arm and not throw as hard, and maybe just play light catch then. But on the days that they're throwing really hard, the days that they're really letting their long toss eat, is probably going to end up being about twice a week if I have something to do with it. Those days we're going to work the changeup grip in, just their mechanics to where they're comfortable throwing with that grip really hard and not changing their mechanics, because then they have the external cue of throwing the ball as far as it will go. Okay, that's what you're trying to do with long toss, and that's the goal of throwing with a changeup, is still throwing as hard as you can without the ball actually coming out and moving as fast as it does when you throw a fastball. Okay, number 4. I have considered implementing this with our 18U team, and we're probably going to do that this year. After a loss, everybody gets out. We're not meeting in the outfield. We're not going to sit out there and talk about it. We're going to wait 24 hours before we talk. Or if it's a doubleheader, we will speak before the next game. We're completely wiping that clean. Losses are emotional, and I feel like there's just not really much good can come from that. Nobody's listening. Everybody wants to leave, and this goes on at a higher level too. This is not just youth baseball. I just really don't know how much productive comes from that. And I might revisit this afterward and be like, you know what, I was wrong. But I mean, that's one of the things that I would do going into, is I'd just be like, when we lose, especially an emotional loss or something like that, I would be like, y'all, let's go get some ice cream, let's get out of here. So, you know, and try to remember that it's not the end of the world when you lose. And I have to be reminded of that too. So 5, I would find a way to reward hard hit balls to the outfield regardless of the result. I don't know if I would count grounders in there or not. There's my line of thinking is there's a lot less people in a way bigger space in the outfield, so why would you not want to hit it there? I'm not saying that you teach every kid to try to hit home runs, even though I do believe there is merit to that in some situations with every kid, no matter their size. Hitting the ball on the ground is a way to win youth baseball games. It is not a way to win high school games. It's not a way for your kid to make the high school team. It's not a way for, there's just, no matter what any coach tells you about hitting the ball on the ground and legging it out, they still like doubles in the gaps. Doesn't matter what they say in practice, they really, really like doubles in the gaps. And even some of them that won't admit it still like home runs too. I can't believe we have that discussion that some coaches say they don't like home runs, but that's the world we live in. So they like those too, no matter what they tell you. And those balls have to get in the air in order to be what they are. So I would find a way to score that, reward it, celebrate it, and then like I believe that would be, whether it's a parent in the stands that's keeping track of it, some unique scoring system, helmet stickers, something to where even if a kid goes 0 for 3, if he hit 3 missiles that got caught, we're still celebrating he had a good day. You know, baseball's hard enough, it doesn't need any help being hard. So 6, I would find a way to use humor during tense mound visits. That is like a really awful time for a kid. And I did a video a few years ago. It to this day I think is the most viewed thing I've ever is on Facebook Live. I don't even know if I could find it. It was so popular, and it was about kids crying in games. And just from me asking kids, because they'll kind of open up to me, I'm not at their games. You know, they'll open up to me a little bit more, and they know I'm like, hey man, you know, I'm not, you know, they're a little more comfortable around me. When a kid is crying on the field or upset or struggling, it is their way. You got to remember, these kids, they're not fully developed yet. They're not adults. They don't know how to express emotion. It's overwhelming. Baseball is very unique because when you screw something up, everything stops and everybody's staring at you. If you throw an interception in football, you miss a tackle, you know, whatever, in whatever other sport, something happens. It's a fast-moving sport, so people have to forget about it quick. You know, the quarterback throws an interception, he gets to go over and not be in the spotlight. If you're a pitcher especially, you are literally standing on a pedestal, everybody's staring at you, and nothing's happening until you can get the ball back and throw another pitch. And it just swarms on them, you know, like it's hard even for the older kids to not lose it in that situation. So a kid that's 10, 11, 9, 8, however many years old, no wonder they cry when they're out there. It's an overwhelming emotion. They're frustrated, they're upset. So the last thing they need is an adult coming out there and making it worse, right? And so I would find a way to walk out there. If they've just walked the bases loaded, I would walk out and be like, you got them right where you want them. You're 1 pitch away. Like, just chill out a little bit. You know, remember, I'm gonna touch on this a little bit at the end. Your job as a youth coach, the number one job is to make sure they still love the game at the end of the season. And we've lost track of that. And there are some instances that I have referred to youth baseball and said that it is broken. And I don't know, it just feels that way sometimes. There's no way that a kid is gonna keep playing baseball. Like, kids don't, I don't know, like kids don't do stuff that's not fun. They don't want to do that. And eventually they will get old enough to be like, you know what, he or she can't physically make me go out there. They can't physically force me to participate. They will have that epiphany one day, and they will quit when that happens if they hate the sport. So if you're making them hate the sport, you know, that's not gonna go well. They're not gonna continue playing that sport for very long if they hate it. So last one, I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers. I know it will, but this is what I would do. I would not allow parents to give coaching cues during practice or games. I wouldn't allow them within earshot of the kids during practice. This is as close to ugly as they'll get. I don't mean it this way. If you know me personally, you know I'm not like this. But there are some really horrific coaching cues coming from random parents to their kids during practices and stuff. And I'm not trying to be ugly. It's not y'all's job to be coaches. I know that. But I don't really know what it is about baseball, but everybody seems to know what to do, and unfortunately they don't. And I would absolutely find a way to communicate it in a cordial way, to be like, y'all are gonna have to drop them off at practice and go get groceries. You're gonna have to drop them off at practice and go sit somewhere else in the car. You're gonna have to let me have them. It's just better. The kids need a break. They need a break. They need to be with somebody who's not their parent. It's just better that way. And on top of that, even if your coaching cues are okay, they don't need all these mixed signals and mixed coaching cues coming from all these different people. It's just not productive. You just need to let them have that space, okay? So I would find a way to make this happen. It would piss some people off, and I know that. But like I said, I didn't do this video to necessarily not make people think. I'm not trying to upset or hurt anybody's feelings or be ugly, but I didn't make this video to walk away from it without some people at least thinking about it. You know, if something ruffles your feathers, maybe I'm right. Maybe it's something to think about. So, but maybe not. So, closing thoughts, and before I forget, this is one that I completely forgot to put in here, but this is a biggie for me. I would absolutely stop demonizing the strikeout. I would stop doing it. And I would stop applauding kids that hit weak ground balls into double plays because they didn't strike out. I would absolutely put a stop to that. I think we create a situation to where it's like, well, I feel like we're creating a situation in baseball to where as long as you, like, as long as you don't fail big, as long as you don't, like, you know, you put it in play, yeah, you ended the inning with a rally killing double play, but oh, you touched the ball, so it's okay. No, like, do damage. Either do damage or let like, if I've got a kid up there and he's swinging hard, I mean, a two-strike approach is one thing, but if they're up there and they are trying to hit the ball hard to advance the runners and they strike out, I am going to find a way to make sure they know nobody is mad at them. Nobody in our dugout's mad at them because they were trying, and it's a freaking hard game. It's a stick and a rock. Somebody is throwing that rock and you're trying to hit it. That is hard to do, right? So I'm going to make sure he understands nobody is mad at him for striking out. Striking out is easy to do, but you're trying to help your team, and sometimes it results in striking out. I would stop demonizing that, and I would stop applauding weak ground balls that end up in double plays and killing innings, like, just because it's better than striking out. So, next, parents and kids arguing with umpires would absolutely be a big no. On our 18U team, if you're a kid that gets kicked out of a game, you will sit the next game. If you get kicked out of a game for arguing anything with the umpire, you're done with the organization. You'll never put our uniform on again. That is, and like, we leave your jersey in the dugout type stuff. That is an absolute no. Everybody is trying to win. If you have parents that are constantly banging on the umpire, do you really think you're going to get those close calls? Baseball is nothing but close calls that could go either way. That's what it's made of. So the last thing you want is an umpire that hates to umpire for your group. They're not going to give you any calls. They're going to take pride in the fact that they didn't give you any calls. If they love seeing your group come up, you're going to get all those what I call balls, those strikes or balls, the ones on the black of the plate. You're going to start getting those calls if they like you. That's how that works. So just think about that. I would absolutely put an ixnay on all of that, and make sure that the umpires love seeing us coming, because you're going to win more games by default like that. So next, anybody that yells throw strikes from the stands is going to get 50 lashes. Not really, but almost. None of that. Like I said earlier, you can completely wreck a kid's development because things are already kind of swirling out of control for them. You know, so you got to be careful with that. Like, that would absolutely be a no-no. Off speeds must be earned. What I'm talking about there is at a younger age, especially, I truly believe teaching them off-speed pitches too young will impact their development because, like I said, they're going to slow their delivery down to try to get it right. We don't want that. They have to learn to locate the fastball. Like, there are kids in high school that can locate fastballs and don't throw anything else that get guys out at a very high clip. If you can locate and throw hard enough to do that while doing so, you will get a lot of guys out, and that is the best way for your kid to make the high school team, is to get up and then start developing their breaking stuff later on once they can locate the fastball, because they will throw harder, they will have better mechanics coming out of their youth years, and then they have a better foundation to build and throw their change-ups and their curveballs then. So, let's see what I did more. All right, so last closing thought. Number one goal is to ensure the kids on the team still love baseball at the end of the season. That is the number one goal of this. It's not to win a bunch of games. It's not to win a trophy. It's not this. And like, winning is part of that, is a symptom of when you're doing things right. It's not the end goal. Everything you do should not center around this. And this is as harsh as I'll get with this video. Anybody that feels like, especially if we're like, I'm not talking about 15 and up, and 14 maybe. 14 is that, you know, tweener age there. Definitely 12 and under. There is no way that if somebody's wanting to have cuts on just a normal, if this is some kind of national team or something, it's a little different, it's ridiculous if it's a 12 national, but whatever. If there are kids that, if there are parents that are wanting to have cuts because we're not winning enough games, or you know, things like that, or thinking that the kids are, quote, having too much fun, like, I'm gonna have to cordially part ways with them, whether that means I'm leaving or they're leaving. Somebody, it's gonna be addition by subtraction either way. You just gotta get out of that situation, whether you leave or they leave. I just do not feel like there's anything good can come from that. So that is how I would handle that. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. You don't have to agree with it, but that is how I would handle that situation. So hopefully this video helped. Hopefully I didn't anger an entire population of people with it. If you aren't mad at me after watching this video and would like to help us grow this channel, I would really appreciate it. Really trying to get to 300 subscribers by the middle of March, which is getting very close. So like I said, like and share, and send this, or like and subscribe, send that video out to a friend. Maybe they would find it helpful or enjoy it, or maybe they would be mad when they get at the end of it. But either way, we would get a view out of it. So I appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you in the next one.